Welcome to the session on intelligent building and partnerships. I will do this together with Cisco, with Akshay Thakur, who is the Global Business Development Manager for Cisco, where I work very closely with. And in this presentation, we really would like to show you what we mean with smart or intelligent buildings, how we can drive efficiencies, and how we need partners in the ecosystem to actually make this work. So let's start thinking about what is a smart building. What do we mean with the word smart? Because the word smart is used everywhere. Actually, I take the example of the alarm clock. You know, is that now a smart device? The fact it sits on a smartphone, does it make the alarm clock smart? Because I'm pretty sure that my grandmother 30 years ago had to wind a machine, put the time at 7 o'clock. It woke her up at 7 o'clock in the morning. I don't think it's different with the alarm clock on my smartphone. So why is it called smart? It really intrigued me. And I was thinking about what for me would make it smart. It knows where I am. It knows my location nowadays. It knows my agenda. It can look at the weather forecast for the next day. It could look at the correlated traffic behavior. It could all do that. Actually, it could delay my alarm clock on a sunny day with very simple, limited time to go to work to actually sleep longer. That would be smart, wouldn't it? Or counter, if it was a snowy day, it can pull the alarm clock forward so I can reach the office in time or my appointment in time. So smart is that it starts to advise me rather than I have to instruct the device like my grandmother did. But now let's look at the term smart building. What does that mean for us if we apply the same logic to a building? Actually, it means to us that the building should start advising you rather than you instructing the building what to do. So you are on a floor and actually it advises you, as you see on the screen, your optimal work spot for the day based on your agenda. It can find the best meeting room for you around you for your appointment, so you don't have to travel throughout the building. It could actually help you find that room by some form of guidance, direction, or even indoor navigation. It could even auto-confirm the room. So I'm not sure how you live in your offices, but we have a button called confirm. If you don't do that, somebody else after 10 minutes will book the room and said that you have to leave. So these kind of things, the auto-confirm button, can actually be done by a sensor trigger integrated with the booking system. And actually what that delivers as a business outcome, I hope you can all see that, is reduced energy cost and the CO2 footprint of your building. Because you have less travel time, you have less time, you actually use the elevator less, you actually travel less to find rooms and spaces. That's actually productivity increase of yourself. So your comfort, your productivity level, the energy footprint will reduce, and your comfort, productivity, and actually maybe your wellness in a building will increase. So actually technology applied in the right way can make buildings smart because the building can advise you what's the best place, the best way to use the services of this building. So how can we help? So I typically at this point get the question, so what has this to do with lighting? We have in lighting, if you see around the booth on there, you see all the lighting we claim is connected. We have a lot of sensors applied all over the booth. And we have a means to communicate with people through the light. If you see in the retail booth, you can be indoor navigated to a shopper product. In the office area, you can actually control the lights. Actually, you can control the lights over the whole booth. So you know where people are. And actually, when you are there, you can zoom into the 3D model of this building. You find your exact location, you find information around you, and you can navigate to the nearest available service you want to find. So we can integrate those things on a fair. Why is it so difficult to integrate it in an office? So I come to that point. So quality of light is what we drive through our lighting. Energy efficiency comes with the lighting product as such. But space management and satisfaction of people, that comes with the right advice. Examples have proven that with the right advice, with the right insight on how the building is being used, you can actually save 20% of floor space. If you compare that to the energy bill, we all know that floor space cost per year will vary somewhere between 200 to maybe €1,000 per square meter per year, depending on where you are on this earth. If you can save a 20% less floor space, be more productive, you actually save 40 to I don't know how much euro per square meter per year. That's quite a bit of an investment you can do to make something smart in the right term. So that is how we would like to start looking also forward, that we say, can we go with our longer term engagement with you, we call it a service, look how we can start optimizing these business outcomes with some relevant building blocks from us. That's actually the journey we are in, and that's actually the promise of light beyond illumination. Obviously, if you look at the ecosystem we are working in, you see a lot of verticals. And we need to change also some business models once in a while, and we have to start collaborating to actually make this happen. And with a business model, I mean, we need to integrate information, we need to integrate things. We want to interact on a real estate level. So that is changing the business model, but we are also altering our partnerships. So if we look at the example of Cisco, where we have recently announced our global partnership with around the digital ceiling, then you see that the highly secured network of Cisco in a building, the convergence of it with other things, will help us to deliver the best lighting application in a very secure way with relevant data and information, so to make buildings intelligent and give you the right advice. So that's why it makes a lot of sense for us to partner up and drive that value. We see collectively a value of €1 billion globally that we can develop around these kind of energy, space optimization activities. So some quotes of both of our SVPs actually show that we really are driving this as two companies together. So together we make things connected. That's the pitch. With collaboration, with partnerships, with alliances, with teaming up in projects, we can really drive additional value for our customers, and we can really make buildings a productive and energy efficient space. So now how does that work? How does it all resemble? Akshay Thakur will take you in that journey from a Cisco perspective. Akshay.
Thank you, Onno. So good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. This is perhaps the first time that Cisco has participated in a conference such as this. We are a leading technology company, as you would all know, and I'd like to talk to you a bit about what we call the digital ceiling framework, and also talk to you about why we've actually partnered with Philips to deliver a connected lighting joint solution. So my role within Cisco is that I'm part of the IoT Vertical Solutions Group. And what we are actually charged with doing, or mandated doing within the group, is to find key ecosystem partnerships, develop solutions which bind Cisco solutions with partners' solutions to deliver end-to-end outcomes for our customers. Everyone's heard about IoT, and Cisco, a couple of years ago, made the forecast there will be 50 billion things connected to the network by 2020. That is a hell of a number of things to be connected. In 2020, it will be 1 million new things added to the network every hour. Every hour. Now, there are many forecasts out in the market. Cisco has come up with 50 billion. Others are similarly in the billions range. Whether it be 50, 20, 15, or whatever, there are going to be many, many devices connected to the network. So, from a Cisco standpoint, I want to give you a perspective of how we see the world. We see a change occurring. We've experienced it, and I know you have experienced it in your own personal lives. Everything is becoming digital. And there are three key drivers for why businesses and cities need to embrace digitization. One is to transform and improve our business processes. By having more things connected to the network, we will be able to see far more business efficiencies in processes. So think of manufacturing plants, when things are far more automated, where the data from sensors is combined with processes, and then that will enable brand new operational efficiencies for our customers. The second key drive for digitalization is about new customer, employee, and citizen experiences. We all want a personalized experience wherever we are. We're used to personalized experiences in our homes. Why should that be different from where we work or from where we actually live? And then finally, digitization will lead to us as employees and citizens to be innovative and to create brand new ways for us to work. So from a Cisco perspective, digitization is achieved by combining IoT. So we all know IoT is the Internet of Things. But it's not just things that need to be connected to the network. It's very much more than that. It's when things, data, processes, and people work together to create new experiences for us. So we always believe, from a Cisco perspective, that we should always implement and use our new technologies. So we've been working in this new world for many years. We've been sharing this with our customers for many, many years. And we feel as if our organization is somewhat representative of many of our customers, our joint customers, and perhaps where you live and work today. So we believe about the workplace being reimagined, new value being introduced through these new digital experiences. And then finally, all of this being combined by the technology that we have in our buildings. So the underlying theme that I'll talk about today is going to be about the convergence of different building services onto the network and what that enables for us as users and then operators of the space as well. But at the heart of everything, when you connect things to the network, is the security. Security is paramount today. As soon as I tell a customer that we're going to connect another thing to the network, what do you think is their major concern? It's like, oh, this is yet another attack vector within my business to allow somebody who does not have the privileges to have access into my building or into my data network to actually get and exploit my data. So we've been doing this from an IT standpoint for 30 years. We believe we're pretty good at it. I think the industry also believes that because our solutions and our products are in 70 to 80% of all enterprises worldwide. So we understand IT really, really well. We also have seen the trends that have occurred in the market, in the building space as well. And I have a nice slide which covers that in a second. But right now, we see a perfect storm occurring. We have IoT. We have the demand for new workspace experiences. We have the emergence of new technologies in the lighting space. For example, the Philips Connected Lighting Office solution. We've had the concept of intelligent buildings for some time. There are many intelligent buildings out there today. But are they the most easiest buildings to run? Are they operationally efficient? You can have many intelligent experiences, but when you lift under the covers and you see how those buildings are actually connected, you may be surprised that we actually even call them connected at all. And then finally, we see the technology convergence occurring. From a Cisco perspective, we've been doing this for many, many years. So the factors at play and perhaps the motivation that Cisco has to be in this space is driven by some of the key things that you're aware of today as well. So if we look at electricity use within a business, lighting composes about 15 to 20% of the entire electricity use in a building. HVAC is also another key contributor to the OPEX that is required to run a building. So we've seen that LED prices are dropping. We've seen that power efficiency, the efficacy of LEDs are increasing. And now we see the adoption of LEDs coming up in the market. Everyone understands what LEDs bring from a sustainability point of view to any new build. The penetration today may be low, but by 2020, we expect that, and it's not just Cisco expects this, this is what the industry expects, that to be up to 50% by 2020. And as these things, these lights, these sensors are connected to the network, now you can see how we can get to that 50 billion number, or some billion of devices on a network and all connected. So I talked about building services, and I've talked about what Cisco has seen over the many years that we've been in the IT space. We've seen buildings that are built in a way of silos. Lighting, HVAC, IP access, physical security, IT, all in different silos. We have seen the convergence in the building space over the years as well. Back in the 2000s, who remembers having a PSTN phone line at work? I'm sure you all do, right? But who actually has one of those landlines now at your office? We led the convergence of voice and data back in the early 2000s. Then we did the same thing with coax, with physical security. So now CCTV cameras are all IP-based. We've seen building protocols, BACnet, translated over IP. So now we're at this interesting transition point in the market where we've got those various different factors at play, the efficacy of LEDs, the prices reducing, the technology from Cisco being able to support more power over a network to not only control and also power the network as well. So we believe in the whole converged building design, what you see on the right-hand side of the slide. Different building services acting as subsystems over a common IP network. Now, we've been leading convergence, connections on the internet for many years. We understand how that should be done. We understand it must be done in an open and standards-based approach. So that is what the digital ceiling framework is all about. It is about trying to converge building services onto a single IP network in an open and standards manner. So the data which is available from the lighting, the HVAC, perhaps even from the CCTV, and even from your Wi-Fi networks, can be combined, be consumed by an application developer to create a brand new experience for us as users, or perhaps us as operators in a space. So, the digital ceiling. I said it was a framework, but a framework must have an ecosystem to deliver solutions. So we have partnered with Philips to provide the connected lighting solution, and we're working with industry-leading partners to help this disruption in this industry. We're also mindful that it's not just lighting partners that need to be part of this ecosystem. Lighting is one of the services in a building, so we're also working with building automation partners. So in February this year, we launched the digital ceiling framework and also our ecosystem. So from a building automation point of view, we are working with the likes of JCI and many other building automation vendors to start creating solutions which are natively IP-based and also compliant to the framework that we're working with. And then we have enablers. A framework or an ecosystem requires people to be able to provide enabling technologies. In a smart building point of view, we may have connected devices, but they need to be wired in a way as well. So we have enabling partners, such as Siemens and Superior Essex, who provide intelligent building cabling solutions. We also have worked with the likes of Microchip, who actually provide microprocessors which are compliant to our framework as well. And then finally, as part of the ecosystem, and as part of any IoT system, once you have connected devices, once you have data coming from these devices, you cannot just rely upon the vendors who connect these devices to provide insights or new experiences. So this is where we have got independent software vendors to be part of our ecosystem who can, in a standards and open manner, consume data and create, firstly, new insights from an analytics point of view or new experiences. So an example of that, an ISV, is perhaps Blink. And they have had their solutions on demo downstairs. So let me talk about the building blocks. So we've understood why buildings need to be connected. We've understood why and what the digital ceiling framework is. But I've spoken about the key things that need to be part of a building. So from a network standpoint, we've been working on protocols for 30 years to try and standardize the connection between different networks. So the same thing applies in buildings as well. So we're working with open and standards-based protocols to connect all these devices together. We're then also optimizing our Cisco Catalyst switches that actually provide power over Ethernet. So therefore, that is not only just connecting a device, but also powering up the device. And that is the point that we should be very, very mindful of. Lights in the future will only need one single cable going to them that provides both power and cable. Wireless access points in the ceiling already require only one cable. CCTV cameras already only require one cable. So this is where we see the convergence of all these different building services. I've mentioned our ecosystem. We are going to grow this ecosystem because we need to disrupt the industry. The adoption of this new way of designing buildings will only occur if there is a convening party such as Cisco that brings together industry leaders to work as one. So I know that Philips, JCI, and Blink have worked together. We'd like to see far more of these relationships flourish in the future. And to make it easy to implement smart buildings in the future is that we're working on validated designs. So from a connected lighting standpoint, we have a tested and validated design with Philips. So therefore, installers, channel partners can take a design. They know exactly how to implement it from the physical aspect, but then all the way down to the network aspect as well. And then finally, open and standards-based information model. How do we make sure that these different things in a building can all communicate together? So we work with our ecosystem partners to deliver, so to create an information, a contextualized object, which allows us to control, but then also manage these devices. So, being a technology company, we would never have a presentation without a technology stack. So bear with me while I just walk through this. So right at the bottom, we have things that comprise up a digital ceiling. If you looked at any ceiling in an enterprise environment today, you'll see access points, CCTV cameras, sensors. You may not see some of the HVAC elements, but trust me, they're all there. And then you'll have Wi-Fi points, and you obviously have lights. When these are connected to the network, and this is where we come into this ecosystem, we build network switches. These network switches, as I said, already are in part of 70 to 80% of enterprise organizations today. We're now simply providing a new use case, a new service to connect to these switches. So these aren't your wall switches. These are Cisco Catalyst switches, which have power over Ethernet capabilities, but they also have the key feature that everyone requires. The 30 years of experience that we have from a security point of view to ensure that when anything is connected to the network, we validate what that thing is and allow it to only access the network if we trust it. And then above the network stack, this is when things become very, very interesting. When things are open, the data can flow upwards into energy management platforms, services which exist in a cloud environment, to light control services, such as the Envision Manager, to the building automation BMS. And then all that data can then even flow upwards. So it can provide analytics, and then it also can do the one key feature that we want smart buildings to do today, to provide smart spaces. For us, as users, we don't want to be controlling technology in a building. We want technology to seamlessly adapt to our presence, either in a meeting room, in an open space, or in a collaboration space. And this is where we feel the independent software vendors will really come into play. They will take the data, they will provide brand new experiences for us in buildings. Now, the journey. IoT is not a revolution, it is an evolution. So we will slowly move towards that. So phase one is the connection of things to the network. And that's been happening over the last 25 years. Believe it or not, the Internet of Things has been around for a very long time. It just got its name just recently. But the next stage is the very interesting part. When we take those things, we add the different building services to it, and then we start providing insights. So that's when we get to smart services with the analytics. And the third step is when we get to digital workspaces, when the services, the building systems, and then our facility systems are all working as one to create brand new experiences for us as users. So think of it me in a typical Cisco office. I walk out of the office and say that I'm in San Jose in California, where we have 50 plus buildings. I go from building to building. The internal arrangement of that office is exactly the same in every single office. But but I need to find a meeting room. How am I going to do that? So our IT calculated that if we save just 2 minutes in getting to a meeting and into our meeting, there will be a huge operational saving for us as a business. So this is where we came up with the concept of smart spaces. For me to be able to check in to a meeting, to be directed to a meeting, and then once I walk into the room, the meeting to be ready to start without me having to interact with the IT technology in that room. Simple one-button clicks. So the digital ceiling, if I were to summarize once again, includes key industry lighting vendors such as Philips, key building automation vendors such as JCI, enablers that we have already signed up as part of our ecosystem, and then finally, the independent software vendors who will actually make the experiences for us within this new intelligent building era. And I hope you've got a feeling for what this will bring from an experience point of view, but then from an operational point of view as well. When we know what's actually happening inside a building, we can make some very interesting decisions about how that space is allocated, how that space is then assigned to various different departments within a building. We no longer will actually have different departments actually being assigned a floor of a building. So this is a building in Toronto, which is over 20 floors. This is a building where we have converged the HVAC, the metering, the sensing, the lights, and the IT onto a single network. Coincidentally, Cisco is a tenant in this building, so we have 4 floors where we have over 1,400 Philips connected lighting lights connected on our floor. There are over 2,000 temperature sensors across the entire building, which are connected to a power over Ethernet network, including the metering devices as well, the CCTV, and then also the Wi-Fi access points. Now, this is essentially what we are promoting in terms of intelligent buildings and what the digital ceiling framework intends to implement in the new buildings that are being constructed today. So I want you to think about the network no longer as an IT service, as now a key element of a building. So we as humans have a central nervous system which connects all of our organs together. So let's use that same analogy in buildings. The network, a power over Ethernet network, can now connect to all the different building services, connect them by data, but then also power them at the same time. And then that's going to enable us to have brand new experiences in this building. So if you happen to be in the Toronto area, we would love to host any of you in this building to show how this actually is working today. If you're in California, we'll host you in our offices. If you're in any other part of the world, please do get in touch with us. We'd love to be able to show you this in practice. Once you experience this new way of working, I think you'll actually really understand what the benefit is of connecting not only just another thing to the network, but making the interconnection between all those things. So the Internet of Things, we took a new definition to it. We call it the Internet of Everything. This is where we connect things, people, processes, and data together. This is what Onno spoke about, smart. We just call it something else. We understand what digitization is from a personal standpoint. We understand why businesses and cities now need to be digitized. We achieve that through the adoption of Internet of Things in our everyday life.